Sean, occasionally we can take something away and increase something. So if I wanted to increase my vertical jump, I would probably want to take away something around my waist, right? We can do the same thing for distance with our drives, right?
Yes.
We can take something away to really increase the distance our drives go. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Reduce something to add something. All right, Sean, the something we're talking about getting rid of isn't weight, it's backspin, right? For our drives. And if you're new to golf, you might not have heard this yet, but you will the more you stick around it. Higher launch, lower spin is kind of the key parameter for the golf ball to send it farther down the fairway.
Absolutely. And we want to reduce it a certain amount that's correct for you. So
that's right.
At any given clubhead speed, there's a correct launch and a correct spin window that's going to maximize carry and roll.
That's right. Equipment has gotten so good nowadays that it almost takes off too much spin. So we want to have the right amount of spin, but we certainly want to avoid excessive spin because that is definitely going to get the ball going shorter than it should be.
Yeah, and unless you have a TrackMan, it's hard to, or a launch bar, it's hard to measure it directly. But if you play golf and you see your drives back up in the fairway,
that's a good indication.
Pretty good indicator that you may have too much spin on your driver.
Right, or you see if you're playing on a windy day and you see your ball take off and it just looked like it's going to come back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The up shooter is too much spin.
Yeah, launches low and just kind of floats up like it's 1970. Yeah, that's an indication too much spin is happening and you're losing distance because of it.
Yeah.
So let's drill down and find out 3 good reasons that are causing that excessive spin. Probably the most common that we see all the time is golfers coming into impact like this.
With the scoop.
Right, so the reason that produces spin is because it adds loft.
Yeah, adds loft and it's usually a downward type hit, which we'll get to in a minute, but the most important one, like Mike said, you're adding loft, which increases spin.
Right, so a sand wedge has more spin than a driver because of loft, right? Simple way to look at it. Manufacturers give us, this is 10.5 degrees. If I scoop this, now I'm probably up to 14, 15, 16 degrees. That shot is gonna have more spin, everything else being equal, than a shot that's delivered with 10.5 degrees of loft.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the key swing faults that we see that produces that really flippy impact?
Yeah, one of the main ones would be hitting with the weight completely on the back foot.
Back foot.
Yeah.
The reason a lot of golfers scoop is because they're trying to square the face. That helps square the face when you shift to that back foot and throw the club at it.
Yeah, because if you went this way with an open face, you could almost whiff the ball.
You wouldn't play the ball.
You couldn't square it. So hanging back, it all comes down to a lot of times where the club face is as it starts down. But if you're hanging back, basically the low point of your swing would happen so early and the handle would be so far back, you'd have to scoop just to make contact.
That's exactly right. And most drivers are going to be forward in the stance, really teed up. And the idea of hitting up on the ball, I think a lot of golfers aren't really sure how to do it, right? We get that question a lot. That's one of the ways they do it is back foot, really throw the club head at it so they're arriving at impact like this. And all the time, most of the time, you're going to get lower on the face, loft added, spinny, high, floaty balls.
Yeah, and the way to combat that, is to get some shifting over here into the lead leg, but you need to figure out how to arrive at impact with a neutral shaft angle with the driver. You don't want a lot of shaft lean with the driver either, like as opposed, we don't want it back as well, we want it fairly neutral. That's
exactly right. So that's one of probably the most common way we see golfers add spin to the ball is with an increase in loft down around impact. All right, so a second way that we see it all the time is we all use launch monitors here at AMG, and whether it's TrackMan, Foresight, whatever it is, we're able to measure angle of attack. And if you're not sure what that is, it's just the angle. The club is either moving down into the ground as it's striking the ball, away from the ground as it's striking the ball, or pretty level as it's striking the ball. A lot of golfers that have too high a spin are moving the club down into the ground as it strikes the ball, a negative angle of attack.
Yeah, because they're hitting down, the ball kind of climbs the face, rolls, adds spin.
That's exactly right.
So one of the reasons for that, a lot of times, is instead of moving the body correctly and getting some of this tilt with the weight forward so they can hit up, they lunge the entire upper body because it's a strong move. If I was going to chop down a tree, I'd swing this axe kind of this way. I would rebend my body and swing this way, right? Or go this way. So that feeling of upper body lunging gets the club really steep and hitting down.
And if you're curious if you're guilty of this, so let's have Sean set up to it.
Yeah.
So you want to put a line up just inside of his heel, just to draw a vertical line there with your phone straight up. Now when he comes down into impact, if his shoulder gets way in front of this, you're guilty of that move. That's guilty of adding spin to your drive by a negative angle of attack. Is really watching what this left shoulder does.
Absolutely. And, you know, just to kind of tie into that, when you shift your weight left, instead of moving your body this way, the feeling is to almost let this club pass you a little bit more. I think people get caught up in almost putting the grip on the ball.
Yes.
And that's one of the main faults to hitting down too much as well.
That's exactly right. So that's number 2. Sometimes we see golfers with both of those, but certainly we see a lot of golfers that have one or the two. Now let's look at the third way. So we've done a whole video series explaining how you can pick up ball speed with your drive, right? The distance RX. One of those aspects inside that video series is where the ball actually contacts the club face.
Yeah, and you know, there's obviously the sweet spot left to right, which everybody understands, but there's also a vertical sweet spot. And if you are guilty of having your drives back up in the fairway, more than likely you could be contacting the ball too low on the face.
That's exactly right. You could be hitting up on it, right? You could have that ascending angle of attack.
Yeah.
And if that ball's not teed right, or if this is too severe, again, you're going to be off the bottom of the club face.
Yeah, so by hitting it low on the face, even with an upward hit, the way the driver is shaped with kind of this bulge and roll, this ball is going to pick up a lot of spin. And you may add another 1,000 RPMs of spin, which could be 30, 40 yards, depending on the club head
That's
speed.
exactly right. It's going to launch lower than normal and then kind of get that floaty, risey ball flight to it.
Yeah, so the trick is to have the ball teed up high enough, and when you're hitting up, have the upward hit start from very close to the ground. Because I could hit up on the ball, but have this driver too high to begin with when I started ascending, and I would top it.
Yes.
So that's something else to think about is as you're hitting up, the low point needs to be barely tickling the grass. So when you do hit up, you can catch it high on the face, which gives you less spin with a higher launch, which is more total distance.
That's right. These elements are far more subtle, I think, than a lot of golfers realize. And mainly because I'm not quite sure how to position the body to produce them. And this is one of those areas, again, using that line coming up, you want to kind of return that shaft to match that vertical line. And the body is extending upward. That'll provide pretty much all of that upward angle of attack if you let it.
That's right.
So you don't have to add this to it or add that to it, or certainly don't want to add any of that to it, and just really allow the club head to gather speed on the way down and support it with the body, and you're going to really start to see some of that spin drop. So now let's give them 3 really good drills to help them do this. All right, the first drill is going to be a neutral shafted impact. We're going to use our plane board here. We're going to turn it on its side, right? Yeah, on its side. And we're going to use this as kind of block. You can use a wall, a doorway, a den caddy, anything to kind of give you this vertical kind of representation when you're out there. So let's kind of square that up. All right.
So I've got it kind of where the ball would be positioned.
Right, just inside the foot.
Left heel. And at address, you'll notice, you know, I don't have the shaft pressed against it. That's a fault.
Well, you're doing that, pointed your chest way open.
Yeah, so let the handle be back away. You don't have to have this flush up ahead.
Create some space
Most good
right
drivers
there.
don't do that anyway.
Exactly right.
So what you can do is make your normal backswing, start to come down, and feel like at impact, you're flush up against it.
Right.
If you do this correctly, you'll feel your left hip ahead of where it started. It'll be turned, but your upper body will be tilted back so you can look at the back side of this board. If you do it wrong and move ahead of it, I'm looking at this side of the board right now. So I want to be able to shift the weight forward, continue to see the back of the board, and flush this thing up. I mean, that's a fairly tour looking impact position if I can do that.
And if you do this with something more substantial than a cushion, a wall or something like that, your car tire, you're going to really feel when you're got that shaft up against the object, you're going to feel parts of the body that are pressuring and feeling the resistance, right? You don't want to feel it in the hands and wrists. You want to feel it with the body.
And another great way to think about this, and I don't know where I heard this, but I like it. A lot of people are thinking they need to hit the ball with just the club head.
Right.
I like players to feel like they're hitting with the entire shaft. They're they're hitting the ball with
like
the entire
this whole
club.
thing is a ball.
Yeah. You know, what a great concept, right? Instead of just throwing a head at it, I'm impacting this entire board. That pretty much
almost
takes
like the
care
club
of it.
head is here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so you're flushing it here.
Yes.
And that alone, just that image will help you get things in the right place.
Exactly right.
Especially when it comes to not scooping.
That's exactly right. All right, Sean, here's another great visual. And this is a drill, but it's also a really, I mean, this is an image can stick in your brain. So we get the question all the time, like, how much is enough? I don't have a launch monitor, I don't have that. How much is up enough? So we've got an alignment stick, standard length, got a ball out here in front, alignment stick on it. That's plenty of angle of attack.
It doesn't take much going up to do this correctly.
That's exactly right. So what we did was take our alignment stick down there. That's going to give us the visual cue, or give Sean the visual cue as he's standing over the ball. And we got the ball teed up about a foot in front of the back end of the club there.
Yeah, back into
the stick.
Yeah.
All right, so set up to it, Sean.
Okay, I'm going to put the ball up in my stance, opposite my left instep. It may look a little different to you because of the camera angles, but it's off my left instep. Okay. Take it to the top of the swing. Little shift forward, and the trick here is to feel like my club bottoms out or gets the lowest to the ground in line with this alignment stick.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And you can even, while you're training this, you can even come and hover your club over the stick.
Yeah.
So you want that club kind of right on top of the stick there.
Almost touching down right there.
And just ride it right up.
And then it would go up to the inside and elevate.
That's the feel for the proper angle of attack.
So you'd be here,
Yes.
just barely off the ground at its lowest point, and then sliding up the stick into the ball.
That's right.
Now, you're not doing it like this.
Exactly.
At this point, the legs are straightening, the hips are tucking under as you rotate, and you can see when I do that and extend my body like you would into a tour finish with this, your chest and your hips facing up this way.
And
that would get the club out of the ground.
Exactly. You saw the club really come up. Under load, that club is going to be pulling away from you, so it's going to just glide right up that stick.
Yeah, you've got forces acting on you, pulling you away,
Right.
or pulling you toward the ball. You need to do something to counter that, and that's this feeling of rotation and extending the body and getting the weight into the left heel and doing all those things. You can see the club coming up out of the ground.
That's exactly right. So that's a great visual as far as angle of attack goes when you're out there working on these things. So the third drill we're going to show you, and we're kind of proud of this drill because we don't come up with very many things on our own, but this is one of them. We call it distance limbo, sweet spot limbo, right? So Sean in his heyday could limbo under a stick this tall.
Yeah, not anymore.
I can barely limbo under one this tall. But we're going to do the same thing with the club head. So we're really going to tune up where we strike it on the club face. We got to have it high enough on the club face to really reduce that spin, get that nice high launch. So we're going to limbo the club under our alignment stick. So we just got a piece of noodle down here, and that's all you need for this drill. Sean, I'll let you set up to it.
Okay.
So Sean's got his ball teed up nice and high, angle set up, everything looks good. I'm going to place this alignment stick right over the club. So I've got
over the ball.
Oh, excuse me, the ball. So I've got about a good finger plus of space between the ball and the limbo stick.
Yeah.
Sean's only job, right? All we're doing in this first few swings is going to miss the stick.
Yeah. So, in this case, I'd be able to do it just because I hit up on the ball slightly.
That's right.
And I can hit it high in the face. What a lot of you will do when I give you this drill, though, in an attempt to miss it, you're going to try to hit down to miss the stick, and that kind of defeats the purpose of the drill.
That's exactly right.
So what do we add in there?
So after you do this, after you get used to missing the limbo stick,
Yep.
right? We're going to go about a foot in front of the ball and add our second tee. And that's our angle of attack tee. If I can get it to stick in the ground.
So this is the ultimate drill to get your angle of attack and your impact location, because even with our angle of attack drill that we've given to people before, they'll cheat it to miss that front tee, this tee, they'll just swing higher off the ground. Well, they can't do it anymore with this drill we came up with because they're going to whack this top the stick out of the way. So not only do you have to manage how low the club is through here, you have to be going up through it at the same time, and I was able to do it at a slow speed, and that's what you're going to have to do as well at first. You might not even be able to do it at that speed at first because it's a little challenging.
And listen, do not do this at full speed.
No, because you're going to knock everything
Do
out.
it at slow speed like you just saw. You want to get the feel, right? This isn't trying to hit your longest drives and do the limbo. You don't do limbo at full speed running and try to get under the stick, right? You do it slow, cautiously. But this is going to really give you the feel of how to, one, get the club head low earlier, have it slightly rise through impact while hitting the ball where it should be on the club face.
I mean, you get everything you need right here. High impact on the face, less spin, more carry, more roll, outdrive your
That's
buddies.
exactly right. So if you're a guy that spins the ball or a gal that spins the ball too much, use these drills to help knock that spin off. You're going to reduce spin and pick up distance.
Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy it, go ahead and give it a like. Also, if you have any questions about today's video or you have an idea of a video that you want us to shoot, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. We read every single comment. We also respond to the comments. So again, leave us a comment if you have any questions or there's anything you'd like to see. Now, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. We have videos coming out every single week and we don't want you to miss one. So by clicking subscribe, that ensures you're notified right away when a new video comes out. And hey, if you want to add instant distance to your driving, we all do, everybody wants more distance, go ahead and click the link in the pinned comment below. You're going to see a link. Click on it, it's going to take you to a page. You're going to enter your name and email address. We're going to send you an email where you're going to get access to instant distance, which is a video training that we put out. We know it's going to help you. We know we're going to see you farther down the fairway.